Well, here we go. It's the League Up, your Karaka Million preview show, and it's finally upon us, Stephen Hunt, Karaka Million. It's been an age in coming, but we're finally here, and Ellerslie came away beautifully last Sunday, so it's all systems go. All systems go, Thaddeus. We've been a bit of a yo-yo up and down the country. We were there for the barrier draw, which was spectacular on the Wednesday. Feedback was enormous in terms of positivity. But we have to rewind the clock to Trentham last weekend, which is a really good meeting, set up by the Patterson Craig Grill show. Obviously, Mary Louise winning the Wellington Cup. She was embarked on that journey a few months ago after going through the grades, and obviously her last start performance at Ellerslie, or should I say Pukekohe. And obviously Pintura, who puts himself in the conversation, or early conversation, for Sprinter Miler come the awards at the back end of the season. So obviously winning the Thorndon last weekend, but obviously his CV earlier in the season winning the Copeland's Mile. So just on Robbie Patterson, interesting stat. You look at his strike rate, it's 4 and change, which is almost identical to last season. So he's keeping that up, which is very, very good considering that low number. But the difference this time in this season for Robbie is he's managed to win 5 stakes races. You go back to last season, 0 stakes winners. And I know that's very important when it comes to trainers, setting their horses for grand finals and being successful. So it's a big tick for what Robbie's been able to achieve this time in compared to last season. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was a great day out for Robbie and Craig, and we might touch on that a little bit later. But we want to get up to Ellerslie, we want to get the vibe. We've got our men on the ground up there, and we welcome back Brendan Popplewell to the League Up, and also say good morning to Paul Maoate. Morning, boys. How's the vibe?
It's pretty good, thanks, Thad. Yeah, it's a pretty nice time to be coming back into the innings, I guess, when we've got the Karaka Million on our next race day tomorrow. What a day. I mean, it's the one we've been waiting for, isn't it, Paul?
It certainly is, and you can probably hear it's a hive of activity around here at the moment. There are punters all over the place getting this all set up. And as you say, it is going to be a huge night tomorrow. We've got an Australian mix in there. We've got the some of their top jockeys coming over. One of our best coming back. Yeah. It's I can't wait. I'm fizzing.
Yeah, I think one thing too, lads, is that we always talk about the Karaka Million night and how it is one of the best nights of the year. I think there is a feeling that this could be able to top all of them. It really is, because of the comeback to Ellerslie, the fields that are in front of us, the horses that we have competing, not just in our feature races, but across all 6 races. I think that's something that really needs to be pointed out. It is 6 of the best and could be the biggest night we've ever seen on a racetrack here in New Zealand.
Yeah, 100%. I echo those comments. BP, you've still managed to find a maiden of the week for us. Where have you landed with your maiden of the week this week?
Look, I've gone to Wednesday out of Matamata. I did like this horse coming into this race. She was just ready to win a maiden race. Her name is Inspired by Art. Boy, if you're watching this race, you had rather sweaty palms on the point of the bend, and Woodamoo Pin just released. Once getting... Now, this is a horse, of course, you would have been keen to follow via the Vera Rose Maiden. Of course, the Vera Rose Maiden has been one of those hot races where we've seen Inspired by Art, who ran second. Nakaya finished third, of course, and then Bukana finished fifth. They've all been winners out of that race. And now we get to see Inspired by Art victorious too. Now, she is an Oaks prospect. I think she's well worth following in the New Zealand Oaks, and maybe worth a specking now if you're looking into the futures markets.
Nice one. Steve, Inspired by Art, how are the numbers?
Yeah, strong, 1.3 lengths above maiden class, Inspired by Art. I've followed this filly ever since she debuted at Te Rapa, which BP had already mentioned. I thought second start, she was ridden in a positive fashion, almost an arrogant fashion, and where they're riding her as the best horse in the field. I do believe, off what I've seen at Matamata in her third start there, she's better ridden cold, just finding her feet early stages and then warming up at the back end of the race. She comes out of a lovely family. She happens to be a 3/4 in blood to La Diosa, who won 1,000 guineas a few years back and won filly of the year. And you go back, it's the old Dennis Bro family, the Jewel, the Grin, etc. So she's got the pedigree. She's by So You Think, 18 into 12 on the back of that in terms of the Oaks.
Okay.
And from all indications, she might be a good prospect because there's the unknown around that point into the market. The likes of Molly Bloom's Orchestrals, are they going to head towards Trentham at the back end of March?
Yeah, okay. That's definitely a horse to follow, inspired by art. Okay, with the big day at Ellerslie, a big part of it will be the BGP crew, and led by Luke Kemmies, and they've got the big BGP Punters Club in operation on Saturday night. I had a chance earlier to catch up with Luke and just have a little see how they're travelling. Kindly joined on the leg up now by BGP founder Luke Kemmies, who has a huge weekend in store. Good morning, Luke. How did you pull up from Wednesday night after that fantastic event there at the Sky City with the barrier draw?
Yeah, very good, Big Bad Thad. I only had one champagne and I was in bed by about 11 p.m, so I was very disciplined, mate. I've got a big battle on Saturday, so full focus mode for that.
Exactly. Singular focus. I like that about you. And yeah, discipline is the key when it comes to a Punters Club. How is the Punters Club going, Luke? Still plenty of time to get involved. Tell us about how it's going and tell us about how we can get involved.
Yeah, we've got about $750,000 in there at the moment, so I think we're halfway to what we'll end up with. I know that's a pretty big call, but the money seems to flood in late. We've got right up until race number 1 to get involved. So you can get all the details via the Boys Get Paid app or go to the TAB website, and the BGP Punters Club is plastered all over the site if you want to chuck anything from 1 cent in through to as much as you like, gambling responsibly, of course, and follow along on the day.
I heard someone had 10,000 on Wednesday night that flooded into the Punters Club, so there's still plenty of interest in it.
Yeah, the initials T. Taylor, I'm not sure who that was, but someone from around the country just got 10 grand in.
Yeah, very good. And you've already had a couple of big bets. So run us through the couple of bets you have got in place, because they both look nice bets as the markets currently stand.
Yes, we've got $50,000 on Cool and Fast at the 21, so we secured the overs. We've got the good jockey on, we've got the good barrier draw. Now we just need to get across the finishing line first and take $1 million off you guys in profit. We've put $100,000 on Farrelleone, and the future's at $14 as well. So hopefully Farrelleone can get the job done in the Westbury Stud Classic, and that'll be a $1.4 million collect, which I believe is the biggest payout from the TAB in history.
Yeah, that is correct. Would supersede that first 4 from the Melbourne Cup a few years ago. So 1.4 million would be the biggest payout the TAB has ever made. I hope you're not going to go for anything more than 1.4 come Saturday afternoon. Luke, what's your day entail today, Friday? Run us through your day and what your movements are.
Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of media this morning, so I've been on Radio Hodaki, getting the word out there with some of the masses and whatnot, and a couple of pieces here at Ellerslie. Then I'll head into the office and do a bit of work, and then start to get into that final build-up of getting more people involved in the Punters Club and keeping everyone updated ahead of our event tomorrow here, where we have 850 people on track, and just make sure that everyone has one of the best days of their lives so that we can get them back in the future and get them to spread the word about a magnificent night's racing so we can keep building this beast.
It's been unbelievable, hasn't it? Let's just talk about the Karaka Million and what it means to BGP, what it means to the industry now as a whole. I mean, it's really turned into something quite special, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I was just standing out on the track before with Paul from Ellerslie and saying, I remember being up there when Vespa won, I remember being up there when Zhongfeng won, and I remember being down there when Velocious Colours Rude Awakening won. So you can build so many memories, and now we've been able to build our own memories as well, bringing people along. And we started with 75 people in 2018, up the top of where I'm standing at the moment, and had $56,000 in the Punters Club. The bad old days we were putting 5 grand on Melody Bell was a big stretch, and now things have changed, obviously, with 850 people coming along and nearly $1.5 million in the Punters Club potentially. So, you know, it really has got some huge momentum, and it's just been great to be able to share it with everyone around the country.
Talk about that pressure quickly, because running a Punters Club is not easy at the best of times, but these numbers are going to be eye-watering. You know, you're going to have nearly 20,000 people invested in your Punters Club. That brings a bit of pressure, and it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. So kudos to you.
Yeah, it's not easy, and to be honest, like, I just try and remind myself to stay neutral and remember that 99% of people are in it for the fun and things like that. And you put the bet on, and of course then you're going to get that sort of 8 minutes between putting the bet on and it jumping from the, oh, you should have put it on this and why wasn't this? And sometimes what I like to do is actually go back and have a read of some of those comments post a Punters Club and just look at how many people were wrong and think, well, it's pretty easy to just leave a comment on social media rather than actually have to try and front up to 15 or 20,000 people. So look, it's all a bit of fun, and yeah, there is pressure, but I mean, ultimately that's a privilege as well, and people are in it for the right reasons, and those are the people that we want in it as well. So hopefully we can get them paid.
100%. And look, I'm going to be there with you at Ellerslie for my sins on Saturday afternoon. You've got a big event planned on course, and I'm going to be mingling around the room. They're doing a few updates for trackside, so no doubt we'll have a bit of a sparring session throughout the day.
I'm sure we will, mate. It's been a good battle so far, and I'm sure we'll keep that rolling on Saturday, and hopefully everyone's nice to you in our BGP room.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I'm not holding my breath. Hey, Luke, thank you for your time. We appreciate what you've done for the industry with this BGP Punters Club on Karaka Million Night. You've really made it your own to a large degree, and we're going to have a bit of fun on Saturday afternoon, aren't we?
Yeah, for sure. Not a problem, and it's a pleasure to be able to be involved in some way and you know, play our part to build up with everyone the great race that is the Karaka Millions, and keep showcasing the sport and ultimately the sales off the back end of it, and you know, have more people involved, and that's what it's all about. Thanks, Luke.
Thanks to Luke Kimmies for joining us. It's going to be a bumper afternoon there at Ellerslie. Well, let's get into it, team. First race we want to have a look at, race number 7 at Trentham, the Hit Summer Cup. No, I'm just kidding, Steve. We're at Ellerslie today, of course. Run us through weather and track conditions.
Well, with the Strath there's not really too much to talk about. It will be a good 4. Obviously, we had the semi-final a few weeks ago, the reopening or relaunching of Ellerslie, and the rail was out, from memory, 7 or 8 metres or so. But the rail goes back in the true position for the grand final day. The odd shower forecasted tomorrow, but as we say, that will not impact the track, and you can back with a lot of confidence leading into race day.
Yeah, well, we probably haven't talked about this track much, but I mean, that's one of the great advantages I would suggest going forward.
100%. Every time you've got an Ellerslie meeting carded, as soon as those markets are open on Wednesday, you can back with confidence, regardless of what the weather forecast is looking like. So that's a real positive going forward for the track.
Let's get to race number 4. It's the TAB Karaka Millions 2-year-old over the 1200. Steve, and sorry, is it? Oh, sorry, we've gone the 3-year-old first. Here we go. What a morning. Meeting 2, race 6. It's the 3-year-old. Steve, run us through this market.
Molly Bloom, Orchestral, 350 each of 2. Now, there's been a bit of a firmer around number 12 Orchestral since we opened this market on Wednesday evening. $4.50 and 1 point to $3.50. So as I say, 350 each of 2. In terms of breaking down dollars, Molly Bloom holds 2 times more money than Orchestral, even though there was that initial move from Orchestral 450 into 3.5. Outside the top 2, Pendragon. Look, was in that 4th line in futures betting, but when we changed it and shifted it into the final field with the barrier draws, etc., it's gone to that 3rd line at $7. Lupo Solitario, 9 out to 11. Tokyo Tycoon, always money for this individual, 14 to 12. Taliska, 18 into 15. And Pendabell, 14 out of 10 to 15. And best of the rest is Grongallo at a $21 price. Not too much speaking in that back end of the market, Thaddeus, but overall summary, Orchestral, there is your firm at the pointy end, but in terms of dollars invested, they're very keen on the O'Sullivan Scott Train galloper in Molly Bloom.
Yeah, look, Molly Bloom's been the benchmark BP for quite some time, and this win in the 8 carat cemented that and cemented her favouritism.
It really did, didn't it? I mean, this is a win where she's also won where the saddles come back underneath Blake Shin a touch as well, and probably meant the margin wasn't as big as what they were possibly looking like right here. But also kudos to Mary Shan at the same time with how she's come back. Look, she's the benchmark. She's a Group 1 winner of the 1,000 guineas. She was unbelievable in that particular race, and she seems to be right on song, Paul, when she moves into this race on the weekend. I think the barrier draw is no issue. She should be able to track into the race, get on the back of the right horse and roll into it at the right time. Where Orchestral, I guess, where she's got the barrier draw of 1, the right man aboard in James McDonald, maybe where she ends up might be a little bit of a niggly issue, but it could be a showdown between these 2 horses, but there are other horses to talk about. But first of all, your thoughts on Molly Bloom?
Well, as you say, she is the benchmark. They've all got to chase her. Blake Shin, having that ride already under the belt, just adds to her, I guess, her favouritism in terms of winning this race. Orchestral, I asked Robert Wellwood on Wednesday night, what's the worst barrier draw possible? He said 1. But if there's one jockey that can get this wonderful filly positioned exactly where you want, it's James McDonald. So that's a huge, huge plus for Orchestral and the James Wellwood team. As you say, they're at the top of the market, and rightly so.
Yeah, look, I find it hard to split them, but potentially it could come down to who just gets that right run and who has that opportunity of rolling into the race. Could that be Molly Bloom with where she is drawn and maybe tracking that right 3-wide train?
Yeah, well, let's have a look at Orchestral, guys, because you mentioned her barrier draw of 1. But she was very good, managing to hold off Lupo Solitario that day, Steve, at Pukekohe. She's come back from that Hawke's Bay Guineas spell, and she looks to be right on song for this.
Yeah, she does. She missed obviously the big grand final at Christchurch just for a few niggly issues around her. She's come back and she was second up here and she got the job done. She came underneath Lupo Solitario. As you see there in the numbers, it's a glorified crawl and sprint. The run home 34 and change for the last 600, 2.8 lengths above open class. Class rating, no knock there. She has drawn barrier 1, as the lads have mentioned. I have a mapped 3-back rail. If she gets any worse back than that, it really becomes problematic for James McDonald. I don't see a huge amount of speed once the horses have settled. Obviously, you've got Pendragon, who will go forward from a reasonable gate. I think he gets an uncontested lead once all the jockeys find their groove in the first furlong or two. I think Taliska will look to go forward. Lupo Solitario, the interesting run, I'll touch on him shortly, but I thought Ethereal Star from a wide gate might want to chance their arm and go forward as well, which we've seen at different stages this preparation. But just on Lupo Solitario, and I'd be keen to get the thoughts
on him, yeah, for a wee bit.
Well, this has been his grand final. We know for a fact with the weight of money that we've taken on Lupo Solitario all the way back from when he debuted at Te Rapa and won, a truckload of money has been on this horse to take out the Karaka 3-year-old mile. He opened at roughly $26, $31. Yes, he's won a bone crusher in the interim, and he peaked for that. But something had to give. If the stable had to have this horse right for grand final tomorrow afternoon, something had to give. And I just don't think he was quite there to win on Boxing Day or New Year's Day, whatever it was. It was just a 3-year-old 1,600-metre race. There was no stakes attached to it. You could see he really did not appreciate that holding surface, which was on New Year's Day. He was under pressure at the top of the straight. He still had the audacity to hold him to that second line or second finishing position there, Lupo Solitario. I really want to see this horse in a race that is not a glorified crawl and sprint, which has been the bone crusher and also his last start. I think they'll go at least even tempo. I don't think they'll go extremely hard, as I say. I think once the jockeys find a position, they'll be able just to run even tempo to the 600. But I'm hoping Ryan Elliott from a sticky gate, I think there's a slot for him in the top 4 on the map. I just hope that he shows some intent for a horse that does have tactical speed, and that could be vital to beating these 2 fillies, because as BP's already mentioned, you've got Orchestral, who's mapped ugly, possibly hopefully for connections, no worse than 3-back rail. And Molly Bloom, we know she's going to be in the last third, but she'll be able to blend in the race when she wants to because of that wide gate.
What about, let's have a look at Pendragon, boys. The Auckland Guineas, Pendragon, just keeps winning. Pendragon doing nothing wrong, just as smart in this race, finishes 5th, and Pendabell doesn't often run a bad race, or never really runs a bad race, in 7th. And Tokyo Tycoon, well, what do we make of Tokyo Tycoon, boys? But first, Pendragon, well, hard to knock this form.
Look, it is. Look, I really kicked myself after this performance on Boxing Day. Just knowing that I should have had something on because of the horse being in front and the lack of tempo in the race, and talk myself out of it, and it's gone around paying $21. And look, he is a horse that will find that spot. Yes, he goes to 1,600 metres for the very first time. There is going to be a query with a couple of horses getting to that distance. But boy, I just feel as though, and Stephen's mentioned enough already, Paul, that he's a horse who should be able to find that spot. Okay, look, it's a race worth of $1.5 million. There could be a lot of other moves in the race that we don't know, but in terms of what we can see off paper form, he might be able to find that spot and get into a good rhythm. So really, you'd think that brings him into the race with what we've seen from him so far.
Don't be too hard on yourself, BP, because you're not the only one who's underrated Pendragon. His last 3 starts, he started north of $20 and he's won all 3. So the bookies, I'm looking at you, Steve Hunt, they haven't respected him. The market hasn't respected him because we haven't seen a move. So I'm hoping that the connections all got a piece on all 3 of those victories, because he certainly is something very special. He could get up front and just dictate terms. As you say, it's very, very hard to tell when you've got a $1.5 million race exactly how things are going to pan out. But from that gate, he should get to the front and be able to dictate terms and decide exactly when he decides to put the foot down and go.
Yeah, and the other thing too, guys, is he's beaten good quality horses. Certainly, of course, in a maiden race has come out to be some of the best form you would see with what that horse did at the elite level. And of course, Quintessa beating that horse twice, who's now come out and been an eventual Group 1 winner. So he's right in the race.
He is right in the race. I just want to talk about Tokyo Tycoon quickly, Steve, if I can. We know the quality of the horse. He took out the 2-year-old last year in unbelievable fashion. What do we make of him? There's still money for him. So there's obviously still a bit of a belief out there around Tokyo Tycoon.
Well, I see Opie's probably had the choice of Talisker and Tokyo Tycoon. I kind of feel his gut was if both of them ran right up to their very, very best, Tokyo can win this race. I'm not sure about Talisker, even though he ran second in a 2,000 guineas. But just on Tokyo Tycoon, there's a lot of question marks and whatnot. Has he come up as a 3-year-old? Yes, he has come up as a 3-year-old. He won the Sir Colin Meads the early part of the season at the Hawke's Bay Carnival and ran a really good number, the second best or the best number since Catalyst a few years back. So that held him in good stead to be a progressive 3-year-old. And then he ran a really good race at Te Rapa in a glorified crawl and sprint in behind Pendragon, but ran comparable sectionals to Quintessa, who's gone on to do the job and be a Group 1 winner in the Levin Classic. So he has come back as a 3-year-old, but he's just chucked in a couple of average runs in between. So his consistency just hasn't been there, and that's why he's gone out the door into mid-teens. But as I say, with that natural high lay price compared to where he started in previous races and that strong SP profile, and with the Opie Bossum factor, he has drawn well, so he's got everything going for him. It's now just up to the horse.
Yeah, okay. The last replay we want to have a look at is Talisker and the Ellerslie 3-year-old BP. The weapon in this race runs a bit of an eye-catcher, and To Catch a Thief didn't have a lot of luck. This was the first day back at Ellerslie on the Sunday.
Yeah, I think you could say that To Catch a Thief might be one of those roughies in the race. I really like the weapon in this race. And maybe the weapon's a horse we don't back tomorrow, but maybe we back him in the Derby. Boy, it was a super run from him. What I will say about these couple of chances here, just touching on those couple of roughies, don't be scared to have something on a roughie in this race. This race has produced a horse to place at a really big price. Of course, you go back to the Longleaf edition of this race, the Real Beal. I think it paid $24 for a place when it finished into second position. Pin Me Up one at a really good quote. Desert Lightning, even finishing third last year, paid a really good place price. So I do feel as though this race has an opportunity of maybe playing a To Catch a Thief who's been Group 1 placed and a weapon or a geriatrics or anything like that. So if you like them for the longer end of trifectas and first fours, I'm sure there'll be some rather large first fours up on offering tomorrow. So look into it from that point of view. And I think the weapon, just out of that video that we've shown you, is a horse I'm very keen to follow. Anything you like at the rougher end?
Look, this is a classy TAB Karaka Millions 3-year-old field. But I like the look of someone like an Impender Bell who ran second behind Molly Bloom in the 1,000 guineas. I think the mile will suit. $4.50 for a top 3 at the moment. You could make a case for a number of them. The O'Sullivan Scott filly, Grande Gallo, who I believe that means big rooster.
Okay.
Yes, big rooster. You've got to give her a wee bit of a chance off that last start win as well. Yes, yeah. So, look, we've tipped out the field. Okay. Look, I've got Molly Bloom on top. But I'm going to have a little stab at Pendragon at the price. $7, I think, is just a wee bit too juicy. And I think the boys just, once again, just not quite respecting the class of Pendragon.
Yeah, I like Molly Bloom in the race too. I just feel as though everything about what could happen for her, and if there's that right sort of pressure and she can roll into the race beautifully, I think she's a horse that I'm keen to be backing in the race. And then, as I said, looking around for some roughies in the race, happy to play a trifecta in first 4, and the weapon might just lob into a first 4 ticket somewhere if he can run top 3 or top 4 somewhere at a price.
Okay, nice thoughts. Your final thought, Kestrel or Molly Bloom or something else, Steve?
Lupo Solitario, just to back on a better track. I'm just hoping that it's a grand final trainer. She can be quite cunning. Denisa Guy, I think this is a plan that's been 4 or 5 months in work. I think Molly Bloom, Drawn Baron 10, the key about Molly Bloom, she's got one of the most sustaining long sprints I've seen for a filly in a long time, which I think benefits her in terms of the race shape. She can blend into the race whenever she wants because she has that asset. With Orchestral, she's got a sharper sprint, which again could play pivotal because she's probably going to be held up at a vital stage, and it's up to James just to find that gap, which we know he tends to do. But look, I'll go with Lupo, the 1x2, 1x3 play.
Okay, Stephen Hunt with Lupo Solitaria, currently $11 in what is a stellar TAB Karaka Millions 3-year-old 1600 metres.
Hey, I got a lot of faith in you. I'll stick with you, kid, that's the bottom line.
BP, who have you found for the Lance O'Sullivan Award this week?
Look, I've gone with a man that certainly has been paying a lot of bills, and his name is Craig Grills, and we'll be going with him for his effort on 2 horses. And, of course, he was able to do the double on the weekend with Puntura and Mary Louise, both super rides from Craig Grills, and as of course we know, the polish from Robbie Patterson. So he was right in the zone. It's not an easy feat to be able to win both of those feature races, and he was able to do exactly that on Wellington Cup Day. So we've gone with Craig Grills.
Well, I know I had it coming. I know I can't be free.
Paulie was doing hard time over the last 7 days.
I'm going to the same meeting that Brendan just mentioned, and indeed the Wellington Cup, and I don't think too much needs to be said. The favourite, Waisaki, didn't even make it out of the chute, unfortunately for punters.
That hurt.
Yeah, that was just very unfortunate, BP. I don't think we need to say too much more, really. Just terribly unfortunate.
It was, yeah, the whole thing about it, really. I mean, he was the horse who had the big red flashing light on his head after last time to the races. He went as a well-supported horse. Alan Sherrick had him trained to the minute, and then the great game can sometimes bite you in the butt as well. So, yeah, it wasn't quite to be there for Wasaki followers.
Something else has to be said here, by the way. We missed our 4-play for the week. The winner of the 4-play needed Wasaki to run top 4, and that was the only leg we missed, gents. That was the only leg we missed.
No
that
way.
is so.
Paul,
that,
you're doing?
It was Paul's doing. Paul's doing. No surprise. 3 legs.
Surely we get a refund for that.
Very good, very good. Yeah. No, that was a shame about Wasaki for all the reasons BP did mention. Okay, team. Race number. I'll get this right this time. Race number 5 on the card. The Elsdon Park Aotearoa Classic over the 1600 metres, and surprise, surprise. Long odds on, Stephen, on our favourite Legato.
$1.60 on Wednesday. That was quickly snapped up within 24 hours. $1.55 yesterday evening. Watching the show live now Friday morning. $1.50, and that's one punter this morning. Thaddeus has landed a $50,000 bet on Legato at the $1.50 quote. Holy Man's $8.50 out of turn to 9. Desert Lightning firm at that $12 price. Shares it with Wild Knight. Sacred Satana 12 out to 15, a little bit friendless there for the Michael McNabb ridden galloper. Sharp and Smart $18. If race was to jump right now, biggest liability with that lay price. Sharp and Smart 18. Cognito at 21. Best of the rest is RB and Channel Surfer 26 each of 2. So pretty easy summary here. Legato clearly the best back runner last time I looked. We taken roughly around about 70, 80 odd K.
50,000 on Legato at $1 what?
$1.50.
Okay, and it's boosted,
It
Stephen.
is boosted. It is boosted. So
this is
obviously the punter
didn't realise.
didn't know or wasn't notified that the boost price is there. So, look, can he cash out, Thaddeus?
I believe he could. I believe he can. Yeah,
Cash out.
could
and
cash
reinvest?
out and reinvest. It's probably just a good lesson for our customers around boosts and things. Just do check that out before you have an investment like that. But here she is, Steve, at Ellerslie. First up, Legato. What can you say? There was probably a few question marks this day, and well, they were put to bed well and truly.
Yeah, well, she had the 58. She was giving a bit of weight to a few of her key rivals there in Wild Knight and Sacred Satono. Look, on the eye was very, very good, but the race shape did suit her to finish off strongly. They went extremely hard, and they've come home fairly slow. Well, they went out 47.72 to the 600. So the closing sectionals are nothing flash, but obviously on the eye probably looked a little bit more attractive than what it was. A few of those horses she was finishing over the top of had got the stitch. Look, as I say, she carried 58. She's got a 6 kg swing versus Sacred Satono and Wild Knight, so that's a massive positive for the Legato fans. Look, I rated her a 94.8 on the back of that first up performance. at Ellerslie. You go back to the start prior to that when she failed at Rose Hill, it was a 92.8. But prior to that, she was hitting high 90s, 99.5, 96.8 and 99. I think if she hits anywhere north of 97, just pay it out. Just pay it out. Simple as that. So, look, she's got improvement. As I say, 94.8 on the back of that first up performance. So she's got definite improvement, which is scary to the opposition.
Okay, wasn't your 50,000 on Legato, BP?
No, I've just come back from holiday, Thad, so no, that wasn't. I'd be feeling in a pretty good spot, though, if you have unleashed 50,000 gorillas on Legato, because she's going to be the one for the day. Maybe Crescetti's that other horse, but I guess with this being at the other end of the program, punters will be trying to leverage as much as they can into that $1.50. I guess power plays are going to be options, Paul. I'm trying to look for some win power plays with Legato. Teams only got a couple up there, though, so let's hope they can put some more up there. I mean, Legato to win into Desert Lightning, and where's Legato to win Sharp and Smart top 4? Let's hope that they start rolling those out when we get closer to the time, but she's the one, isn't she?
She is, and earlier this week, Thad got a wee bit carried away. He did.
It's unlike him.
Exactly. He's very much middle of the road man. Thad, you want to explain what you did earlier this week in terms of Legato and futures bets?
Maybe not again, not after she drew perfectly in barrier 7. Look, we've paid out the futures around Legato, so if you back Legato in the Ellerslie Park Aotearoa Classic, and she was boosted as well, Legato, so those bets have been honoured as well, so the money's back in the marketplaces.
Open $10 in futures.
Yeah, open $10. So some people had some fantastic tickets around Legato. Those bets have all been paid in those futures markets. Of course, if the unthinkable happens and Legato does get beat in the Aotearoa Classic, we will obviously honour the winner as well, and we won't be taking money back on Legato as well, of course. I say of course, but I hope that just puts a few people's minds at rest. Look, one of the contenders that potentially could beat it, Steve, is Holy Man's, and probably a lot of our viewers may not know a heck of a lot about this horse.
This was at Geelong last start. He got the job done. He was fairly strong in the market. Look, he's a horse that positions round about midfield in that 5th or 6th position, Holy Man's. Look, there'll be that Australian interest. We know Racing.com are taking our Premier Racing now. Warren Kennedy, obviously, with his association with Cambridge Stud, will take the engagement aboard this horse. Look, I think you're going to get double figures just from what I'm seeing in terms of early betting action and how it's unfolding in the marketplace, and the strong action, obviously, on Legato. I just feel there's an opportunity where this horse may get double figures. So if you do like the Aussie Raider, just be a little bit patient. He may be a late affirmer purely because what I've said around that Racing.com, that Australian profile, which we'll see throughout the day on Australian jockeys or base jockeys, the likes of James Mack, obviously. But yeah, I think he trades double figures between now and midday tomorrow at some stage, Holy Man's.
Okay, BP, Desert Lightning's an interesting runner because it's not often you have a last start Group 1 winner paying $12 when it goes to the races as its next start. But the TAB Classic win was solid, and the draw obviously a little bit niggly.
Yeah. It is a bit of an issue, but he is a horse that is constantly underrated. This horse is Desert Lightning, isn't he? I mean, he was Group 1 placed in a 2,000 guineas. Of course, he was placed in this race last year when he finished 3rd behind Prowess and also Wild Knight. Look, he beat home Legato that day. Yes, I know Legato didn't have the most favourable run down the straight. I think he's got to be in the numbers somewhere. And I know we're talking about a lot of other horses here that can be in the numbers, but I think it's that type of race. It's all going to come down to the map, where they get in the running, and who gets that right piece of luck. And he's going to need that right piece of luck. But he's one of those horses I think you could entertain a Legato to win in Desert Lightning top 3 or top 4 type of investment. He's needed for your trifectas and first fours. Is Desert Lightning. And I think the same can be said about Wild Knight. Wild Knight needs to be somewhere in that conversation too. Best to forget what happened here a couple of Sundays ago when he was, of course, clipped a heel. And look, Warren Kennedy did so well to stay on the horse. He looked to be heading in that right direction before that, didn't he? With the way that he won, I thought he had a little bit left in the tank. He's got a good barrier draw in barrier number 1. He should be able to take a good position with Opie aboard. And he ran a really good second, of course, in the 3-year-old last year in behind Prowess. So There are a couple of chances I think that are a must. Your thoughts, Paul?
Yeah, Wild Knight, he had an outstanding 3-year-old season. As you say, second in the Karaka Millions 3-year-old. He was third in the Herbie Dyke. I like the way he's coming into this. You could say he's been slightly disappointing, and that's probably why we're getting a wee bit of a price around him. I'm happy to take a wee bit of an each-way go on Wild Knight.
Okay.
I think we might see him back to his best on Saturday.
All right. Where do we sit, team, with Sharp and Smart? Runner number 1. I mean, I guess leading into that race, we all were hoping to see him run a better race. We saw that. We saw him run a better race. He gets to 1,600 metres. Here's Mark Zara. He has a good barrier draw. He's the reigning horse of the year. He's a multiple Group 1 winner. Can he play a factor somewhere in this race tomorrow afternoon, team?
I'll go to you, Steve, because you'll have some thoughts around Sharp and Smart and whether he can turn the tables, I guess.
I don't think so on Saturday. That's just my honest. If I was talking out of my pocket, from what I've seen, maybe 2 or 3 starts away, I'd reassess him over 2,000 metres. Not to give him a huge knock against 1,600 metres, but he just has to improve so much from his last start run to turn the tables on Legato. Look, to be honest, he's drawn the right gate. He's got an impeccable second up record. So that's a couple of things going for him. And he does have the figures, obviously, as a 3-year-old, to hit the glamour heights to what's required to beating Legato. But at the end of the day, he's only just beaten a wet tracking open handicap horse in a Musée Moire last start. So, yeah, look, I'd be leaving him alone, and that's why we're prepared to lay him at roughly around that $18 price. But, look, it wouldn't shock me if he ran above betting expectations, but I just want to see him again if it was me personally investing.
Yeah, okay. Well, last replay we want to have a look at, and I'm interested why you've put this replay in, Steve. Channel Surfer out there at $26. Here's the race at Te Rapa.
Well, I thought this was phenomenal. His closing sectionals, in a race that suited him in terms of race shape, they went extremely hard, but still, from where he was at roughly around the 600 metre mark, to get up over the top of his rivals, albeit in 75 grey, look, he ran the 4th fastest 400 of the meeting. The only 3 horses that bet him sectionally in that bracket was Quintessa, Tokyo Tycoon and Pendragon. What we have already touched on was a glorified crawl and sprint at Te Rapa that day over the 1,200 metres for the 3-year-olds. The 2nd and 3rd horse have come out and won at 75 grade. Now, I know that's not the level what is required tomorrow, but look, he's had an eye-catching trial on the interim Channel Surfer. His right-hand form on paper is a little bit misleading. You go back to as a 3-year-old, he was running in stakes races at Pukekohe, 3 or 4 of them, still as a maidener, but not disgracing himself. So I don't really want to knock him purely on his right-handed form, even though on paper it looks a little bit ugly. Look, the draw is tough. Robbie Dolan will have to just find his feet with this horse, who naturally gets back anyway. But if he can find that 3-wide train, Thaddeus, and hopefully track on to Legato at roughly around the 600 metre mark, it wouldn't shock me if this horse ran the top 4. I think he's roughly 3.5 for a top 4 finish. Okay. Channel Surfer, definitely one I'll be including exotic bet types.
Okay, sum it up for us, boys. I mean, you're not going to be tipping against Legato, I wouldn't have thought, but maybe from a betting perspective, how could you attack this race, BP?
I think it's a great race to be confident around a first 4. As I said, I don't know any exact figures yet, but I'm sure there'll be some guaranteed first 4s floating around tomorrow, and there's going to be a chance to play one with Legato here. I think horses like Desert Lightning and Wild Knight are going to be on that ticket, and if there's a power play option as well with those sort of horses, that's where I'm looking. And I think if you're trying to set your afternoon up, maybe try and find something at Trentham, something in those early races, and try and get something finishing on Legato and have some fun by 6:45 tomorrow night.
Legato on top, fairly easy. Should need a whole heap of bad luck not to get up tomorrow, but Sharp and Smart for mine.
Yeah, top 4.
That's my each-way bet. I just, we know the quality of this horse, and if he bounces back a bit bigger than Steve Hunt thinks he might, then that $18 looks very, very attractive. So,
I'm wary. I'm very wary as well. So, yeah, maybe a nice top 4. 270, I think it is, Paulie.
Indeed, it is.
Okay, very good, gentlemen. Sharp and Smart there. Okay, the 2-year-old race, we've finally got there. Race number 4, TAB Karaka Millions 2-year-old over the 1,200 metres. Stephen, and there's been a little bit of movement in this market, particularly around the favourite early on.
Yeah, Velocious at $3 off a peak of 3.5 has that JMac factor. Bellatrix Star at $4.20 off of the original price of $4, so just out a slight turn there. Cool and Fast, very well backed again, not just in futures obviously with the BGP influence there, but $6.50 or $7 was the original price on Wednesday evening, now trading at $6. Double figures around full force, 11 out to 12. So Naive, $16. That remains that price. Pretty well backed in that middle market. Poetic Champion, wide draw, 14 out to 16. Shares the same price as Damask Rose. Now, Damask Rose, interesting enough, we've had some speaking for this horse in the last 12 hours. Make what you want, because purely Damask Rose is the first emergency. So, is there a little bit of chit-chat around potentially a horse coming out of this race? Well, that remains to be seen. But just in money in the last 12 hours, Damask Rose has been well backed, 26 into 16, Thaddeus.
Okay, no deductions, no surprises. Boys, let's have a look at the Eclipse form, because this looks to be the A-grade form. Velocious, Bellatrix Star, So Naive and Force of Law coming out of this one.
Yeah, look, and I think the key to this race, and like it's been spoken to, is New Year's Day form. I guess we have to be wary of it because of the type of track conditions we saw on that day, where it was sitting in that soft 7, and Bellatrix Star was the horse who was better in the end at coming over the top, and look, her form leading into this race would suggest that she's heading in the right direction. I also have that feeling that Velocious had something more up her sleeve, and heading into this race, which will be her grand final, and it's a race they've identified ever since she won her first race, beating a number of horses that have gone on with the job and then performed again off the back of that when winning out of Pukekohe Park. I'd have to say that they must be happy with where they're tracking with Velocious, her barrier draw, James McDonald. I mean, there's James McDonald tax in this race with his price, and there's an Opie Bosson tax as well, isn't there, with his domination in the Karaka Million. So I think it makes it quite interesting from a betting point of view around those two horses with those two superstar jockeys aboard.
Oh, I love it. I love the way it's been set up as well. Look, I'm not saying it's a match race, but I'm really happy that these two fillies have drawn alongside one another in the barriers. We've got James McDonald on Velocious, we've got Warren Kennedy, the Magnificent Seven, the Wizard of Woz. Yeah. This is going to be a fantastic 2-year-old edition. Look, I'm with Velocious. I agree with you. I think she's got a little more in the tank as well. And back on what should be a good 4 on Saturday, I think we'll see the best of her. So into $3 now, I can understand that. Very, very happy to keep having a little go as well. I think Velocious is one of the bets of the day, outside of course, Crescetti and Legato.
And team, as we get back to you, I guess Cool and Fast has been one of those horses that's been spoken about a lot before he had his very first start because of BGP's bet. And I know that a few followed the boys in around that futures market. So it's not just one bet, is it, around Cool and Fast that is keeping you guys rather nervous?
No, it is not. And in the final field, Steve, as well, already we've seen money for Cool and Fast at $7, which I think has brought it into $6. So, look, what do you make of this debut performance, Steve? I mean, to come out and win on debut is never easy, and he made up some good ground late, Cool and Fast.
He drew a sticky gate from memory this day, barrier 7. Opie just elected for the horse with the colt to find his feet. Got back to the last 2 in running. He was still in the last 2 with roughly 300, 350 to go, and he's finished over the top of them, got there by Pimple. Look, it's all raw ability, isn't it? Has this race come up a touch too soon? Look, he's going to make a glorious 3-year-old, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, look, he's an interesting runner. I'm not sure this is his race. I just feel there's a few 2-year-olds there at the point end of the market who just look genuine 2-year-olds and a bit more professional than what Cool and Fast is. But look, he's drawn a decent gate, barrier 4, so he'll get a bit of cover, which is important to being a colt. He has the services of Opie Bosson, so look, it won't shock me if he wins because I know the engine's there. It's just about his behaviour on and off the track leading into the race.
Yeah, okay, so next replay we want to have a look at So Naive, Heart Attack and Marakatu, of course, I'll get it right. So Naive here makes up some good ground. BP, is this a forgotten runner in the race, So Naive? Because this was strong on the line.
Look, it was strong on the line, and I guess the one thing it has in its favour over its key rivals, even though they have been here for a gallop, is that he's had a race day performance here, Paul. So he's done a good job here. Marakatu just started knocking up as it got closer to the winning post, looking like the winner, and so Naive made the most of it.
Exactly. Look, as you say, experience on the track in a race day form has to count for something. I just think maybe 1 or 2 lengths off the likes of Bellatrix, Star and Velocious. Look, he could come out and absolutely blouse him. I just think he needs to improve just a few more lengths to be in with those fillies at the top of the market.
Yeah, and I guess they'll be hoping for a similar type of run team, hoping for that chance to just lock away and try and have one shot at them.
Exactly. When Stars Aligns, the last replay we want to have a look at, Stephen. You can't, hard to knock winning form, 1 from 1, got the job done. Where did this line up, this one, I guess I want to know?
It wasn't flash on the clock, so you've got to trust the eye here, Thaddeus. This individual has to improve at least 3 or 4 lengths to the likes of Bellatrix Star, who had a 93.5 on the Eclipse. I suppose you've got to trust the eye, but also the form. The second horse has come out and beat a subsequent winner at Matamata on Wednesday, which is always a good sign. And again, it just comes out of the right barn, so no real knock. Probably deserves to be in that middle teen price. So I can't really see it firming greatly, just from the early action as well and how the market's proceeding, but deserves its chance, no doubt. 1 from 1, hard to knock a winning horse.
Okay, I want you to just talk to us about the Australian Raider before we move on. I don't know a lot about it, I'll be honest. I mean, you would have done your research. Tell us about Bo Dazzler.
Yeah, I had a chat with Dan O'Sullivan, who I work a little bit with in terms of the Australian horses that come over to here in NZ. And look, we rated it at 85.9 that day when it ran third, or second, should I say, last start at the Gold Coast. That sits currently outside the top 22-year-old performances this season. But obviously a few of those 2-year-olds are not, or excluded. They're not nominated or accepted or eligible for the Karaka Million. So, look, on that number, 85.9, you compare it to obviously Bellatrix Star, who had a 93.5, Velocious Peak is 91, so he probably has to improve at least 3 lengths to be in the conversation, to be a winning chance. Obviously, the wide draw is a negative in terms of a variable. But look, he was hitting the line strongly off a shorter distance, so the 1,200 metres will be a benefit for him. So, look, he's got to be respective purely because they're bringing the horse all the way over from Australia, but just on my numbers, he has to improve significantly.
Okay, who have you got on top in the 2-year-old this year?
Oh, look, it's struggling. I'm tossing and turning between the top 2.
Yeah.
But I think the bet is so naive, just purely on its form at Ellerslie. It's one of the only horses that has performed, obviously, and won at Ellerslie. I just like the way it maps. It gets in that neutral position. It'll be able to take off when it wants. We know these 2-year-old Karaka Million races, they go hard, a high-pressure race, and I just feel so naive. Just that sense of timing, last start winner, literally 2 weeks ago at HQ. That's the one I'll be playing each way.
Okay, boys, sum up the race for us, the 2-year-old. Who have you got on top? Who are you having a bet on in the Karaka Million 2-year-old?
Well, it's funny, isn't it? We've spoken about who we're liking, and look, Te Akau have won the last 7. And I guess how much does that weigh on the minds of punters out there? Opie's won 5 of these races as well. So, you know, there's a lot of stats in the corner of Te Akau, but I'm keen to go with Velocious, just with what I've seen from her. I thought she was the benchmark when she won that race out of Pukekohe Park 2 starts ago, and she was able to really rip away strongly from them. I think there's a one forgotten horse in the race, and I'd like to have something on him for a place, and that's Full Force. I was hoping for him to draw a better gate than what he has drawn. He's run second to Archaic Smile. That could be, look, that could be the best 2-year-old of the lot with what we've seen from that horse so far. And he's run a very good second to that runner, and then got just beaten by Cool and Fast, who's a $6 prospect in the race, yet he sits at 11. It might be down to his draw. He's got blinkers on, but if he can get into the race at the right time, get the right cover, he can run a big race for Brendan Wynyard at a price. I'll be happy to have him in my trifecta in the first 4 and maybe a sneaky top 4. What about you?
I think Velocious breaks Te Akau's stranglehold on the 2-year-old race. James McDonald aboard. I really like the way she's come into this. Look, we haven't mentioned Poetic Champion. Look, that first up win was just
it was phenomenal,
super.
Yeah.
So if we can see that sort of form, I know drawn the car park, but if we can see that sort of form on Saturday, well, I think Poetic Champion is worth a little top 3 or top 4 BP.
All right, there we go, team.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a great addition, no doubt. Brave, Paul, saying Te Akau streak's going to end with Velocious. But it was going to be a great race one way or another. Okay, last race we want to touch on is race number 3 on the card, the Westbury Classic Group 2. Steve, quickly whip us through this market.
La Creek heads the market at $3.60. That is well played fave in front of Luberon, 650 into 550. Farrelleone always well played, 6 out to 650 though. Express Yourself is a genuine firmer, 12 into 8.5, and then best of the rest is Fashion Shoot. So firmers, Luberon, Express Yourself, but La Creek has plenty of friends.
Yeah, well, no surprise, La Creek has plenty of friends. We want to have a look at the trial that featured our alley cat, La Creek, and obviously Fashion Shoot as well. Look, she looks to be round the mark here, boys. I would have thought, La Creek.
Yeah, look, I think she's just had almost a preparation and a half to forget, hasn't she? She just hasn't said that rub of the green that they were looking for since we saw her winning that Group 1 at Matamata. Ever since then, she's just had a few things against her when she came back from that preparation after running in Australia and, yeah, just run into wet tracks and of course, that race at Hawke's Bay where they were going to run and then it bucketed down. So she needs a good track. I think she'll get there, and I liked her trial. Look, she's a very good horse, La Creek, and I'd love to see her back in that winning form. This is an interesting race here, Paul, because Farrelleone, of course, runs second. Malt Time finishes third. Malt Time's run 2 Group 1 placings in a TAB Classic and an Arrowfield. Drawn barrier number 1, and we know with Farrelleone, this horse Group 1 placed in a TAB Classic and was very good at the trials in preparation for tomorrow.
That was a lovely trial at Foxton by Farrelleone, and of course, as mentioned earlier, we've got the $1.4 million collect for the boys get paid if Farrelleone can get up. Josh Shaw seemed very, very confident. He wouldn't be bringing her up here unless he thought they had a chance. So she's a big, big, big go here. I'll just keep going back to La Creek. I think at her best, I don't think the rest of the field can stick with her.
Stephen, I know you like Luberon as a bit of a chance in the race. This is her last time in running third in the Auckland Guineas.
Yeah, I love this run, BP. I think the crucial part around Saturday's assignment is that she's finally drawn a gate. She drew the wide gate here in the Auckland Guineas. She got back to the second half of the field. She produced the fastest last 400 of the race. In the 1,000 Guineas, she drew wide, which was problematic. Also on the soliloquy, we know what unfolded the last furlong or two there when she reared out. She's finally drawn a gate. I thought out of all the horses on the day, she is the map horse. Express Yourself will go forward, but she is very vulnerable over 1,400 metres for my eye. Our Alley Cat is the enigma in terms of the map. She's been missing the start, but normally she's a horse in previous campaigns that shows tactical speed and go forward. If she brought her A game, she ran second in this race last year and behind Imperatriz, she's got to be one to include if she can jump with them in the first 100 or 200 metres. But in terms of bet, I'm really keen on Luberon. She can fit somewhere in that top 4. She can trail, she can sit outside the lead, depending on our Alley Cat and how that all unfolds. But with that set weights and penalties, 3-year-olds are beautifully placed. Handicappers are very kind on 3-year-olds, stakes performing 3-year-olds. She's got a rating of 76. She's far better than that.
Okay, Steve Hunt with Luberon. Who are you with, boys, in this year's Westbury Stud?
Yeah, I think it's a race where it sets up where you can play an each way ticket on a couple of runners here. I've gone with La Creek as my top selection in the race, but I think horses like Malt Time and Farrelleone deserve respect as well if you're playing those each way tickets. You, Paul?
I'm sticking to the script. Yeah, La Creek on top for me with, I think Luberon improves. So, yeah, those two for mine. Fixed Quinny.
All right, that's the third, the Westbury Classic, worth, of course, $500,000 this year.
Four-play time on the leg up, your chance to win $100 bonus bet multi with our 4 good things of the weekend. As we touched on earlier, Steve Waisaki did us in last week for the 4-play. Let's come to you boys first. Who have you got as your 4-play bet this week, BP?
I've gone with Molly Bloom. I thought the $1.65 was worth playing for top 3. Could have gone top 4. I think it was $1.35, but happy to go to the $1.65 angle with Molly Bloom top 3. Paul?
I'm going race 5 at Ellerslie, the Elsden Park Aotearoa Classic. Sharp and smart for mine. If he's anywhere near his best, we only need him for a top 4, and he's 270 top 4.
Oh, Stevie, who have you got from this week?
Yeah, they'll head to the Elmansville Trophy, kick off early, race 1. Merchant Queen to run top 3. Now, the reason top 3 is her number last start at Ellerslie was very good. Obviously, there's Crescetti in the race, and I've got a lot of respect around Just a Floozy, who is first up for the Peter and Dawn Williams team. Comes out of a ripping maiden race last campaign. So I'm just covering myself there to top 3 at $1.50.
Okay, I've gone on wonderful tonight. Top 4 in the Concord at $1.45 in race number 2. $100 multi could return $901.26. Boosted up with Paul's $2.70 around Sharp and Smart, no doubt. Hopefully we can go one better than we did last week. Head to the TAB Facebook page, interact with the leg up question, your favourite Karaka 2-year-old Millions winner, and you could be in to win that $100 bonus bet multi. Okay, best bet time, but before we get there, we need to have a little look at how we did last week.
BP's best bet here. He's gone with a horse he likes from a stable he knows well, and that's Grail Seeker.
Sudbeater in front of Grail Seeker. They draw away. The entertainer Lady Sass is running on, but it's Sudbeater's Desert Gold.
I'll go for an easy race. The Group 1 Harcourt's team group, Thornton Mile.
Oh, yes, a piece of cake.
I do love the look of El Vencedor.
More than a length, El Vencedor, one bold cat, Lady Delena the inside, but down towards the line, Puncher approves Group 1 Glory.
I'll go to Trentham Early Doors Race 3, the rating 65, 1,200 metres down the chute. The unbeaten 4-year-old mare, Alexandra Quick.
Alexandra Quick, wide out, Gertland the inside. She's coming, this favourite. She's starting to fly. Alexandra Quick's got up.
In and about them again, everyone last week, but you, Steve, with Alexandra Quick, I mean, what a performance. What do you make of it? I'd given it away.
Yeah, I think Matty had just about given it away too. Post comments, he said he was going to, at the stage of stop riding at roughly around the 1,000 metre mark, but lucky for connections, everybody that punted and got the short quote, he continued riding it out, and very progressive pairing Canto mare.
Yeah, okay, let's get to this week. We need 3 winners, gentlemen. We'll start with you, BP. Where have you landed for your bet of the weekend?
All right, I'm going to go to Trentham, in fact, for my bet of the weekend. Do like Boy, who lines up in race number 3, a maiden galloper for Alan Sharrock. This was a tough watch when it got beaten at Otaki because the money was on. So happy to roll the dice again with this horse, who now goes up to 1,600 metres. Ran the right figures here to say that this horse is ready to go one better tomorrow at 10 minutes past 2 at Trentham.
Bet of the weekend. I know you like to go for the easy races for your best bet. You went to the Thornton Mile last week, nice and easy, and you've picked a nice easy race to find the winner in this week as well.
That's right, Thad. Ellerslie, race 4, the TAB Karaka Millions 2-year-old. And I like the favourite here, the filly Velocious. Look, she was just outstanding winning her first couple of starts. Look, she got beat last time. I think we can forgive her, though. I think back on this good 4 track here at Ellerslie will do her the world of good. Velocious for mine.
Yeah, okay, Velocious into $3 already, so plenty of support around Velocious to say it can do the job. Steve, you might have the Trentham bet that BP's talking about that we can multi up into Crescetti and Legato. What's your best bet?
Yeah, possibly. It's round about kick-off when this race jumps to race 1 to Ellerslie. But race 7, the Summer Cup over 2,100 metres, Boomtown Boy, very eye-catching last start off a wide gate, went back, vital this time, and it's drawn to, so it should position in a more prominent position on the map. Ran really good sectionals, comparable to the likes of Lochinora, who won this, bet him last start, and also the second horse is Franklin form, with Infer coming out and winning at Matamata on the weekend. So it comes out of a really strong race, step up in distance, tick, tick, tick.
Okay, and here's our bonus back. Plenty of bonus backs. Paulie will run us through these in a little minute. BP's with Malt Time in race number 3. That's around $10, so that's nice. Paul Pendragon, race number 6, is going to run you a merry dance up front, so should be there in the finish. Steve, like Luberon for all the reasons we heard earlier, the map horse of the weekend. And well, Steve's gone Merchant Queen as his 4-play bet. I think it's a free swing. I know Crescetti's $1.30 and should be winning, but I can't see how Merchant Queen doesn't run top 4. And you're getting $5.50 if somehow it managed to find a chink in Crescetti's armour. Paulie, run us through some bonus backs for the weekends. What do we need to look out for? I know there's been boosted odds and promos everywhere.
That's right, Thad. We've got the bonus back on all 6 races here at Ellerslie on Saturday, back to 2nd, 3rd and 4th. And then we've also got bonus back promotion on the first 4 races from Riccarton, Trentham, the Valley and Randwick. So what's that? That's a total of 22 races this Saturday, which will all be bonus back eligible back to 2nd, 3rd or 4th.
Love that, love that, especially before we get to Ellerslie, boys. So that'll be well worth chiming into those first 4 races at Riccarton and Trentham.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks, boys. Thanks for your efforts today. BP, you'll be heading up that premiere coverage tomorrow, no doubt.
Certainly will be, looking forward to it. And maybe a little word for the boys get paid if Opie Bosson can't win a race. What about the wonderful Wizard of Woz? The wonderful Wizard of Woz. The wonderful, 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 wonderful Wizard of Woz.
Oh.
Get that cracking, team.
I guess that makes me the Tin Man.
Thank you, lads. On that note, we will leave those boys at Ellerslie. Thanks for their efforts. Thanks, Steve. You'll have a good day tomorrow, no doubt. I think you're attending in a social aspect.
Yeah, we'll both head up there and enjoy the occasion, what is Karaka Million, so I can't wait.
No, absolutely. It's going to be a fantastic day. We know you'll all be tuned in, and we thank you for joining us again. We'll see you in 7 days' time on The Leg Up.